Hi everyone, I'm Alex, and today Aiden, Lauren, and Jean will be presenting with me. Today, we're walking you through our semester-long project on the front desk at a Las Vegas hotel. Over the next few slides, we'll cover how the front desk runs day to day, how we adapted when COVID-19 hit, why we chose the leadership style we did, how we added value for guests to stay ahead of our competitors, our big picture corporate strategy, and our backup plans for when technology fails.
Hello everyone, my name is Aiden and I'll be presenting slides 2 and 3. So to begin, let me introduce the front desk department. It's the heartbeat of hotel guest services. Every day this team welcomes our guests when they arrive, takes care of check-ins, processes checkouts, handles all billing and folios, and steps in whether there's a guest dispute. Behind the scenes, they're also in constant touch with housekeeping to track which rooms are available and which needs cleanings. They even manage the metrics that drive our revenue strategies, things like capacity rates and RevPAR or revenue per available room. Because of all of these responsibilities, the front desk is absolutely critical to keeping a hotel running smoothly. It's usually the first point of contact for guests, aside from valet, that is, so those initial impressions start right there. A friendly, efficient front desk can set the tone from an entire stay. Now, fast forward to the COVID-19 pandemic, and suddenly safety became just as important as hospitality. Overnight, our front desk had to enforce mask policies, offering free masks to anyone who needed them, and setting up social distancing markers in the lobby. We installed plexiglass shields and spaced out workstations to reduce touch points, and perhaps most importantly, we accelerated our move towards contactless check-in options. Self-service kiosks and mobile check-ins became vital, giving guests a way to minimize direct contact. All of these changes were designed to keep the safest, cleanest environment as possible, and that focus on health and hygiene became a competitive advantage for us. In short, during COVID-19, the front desk's role expanded from delivering efficient services to being the guardian of public health standards in our hotel. The front desk, in both normal times and extraordinary times like a pandemic, truly sits on the core of our guest experiences. Now, let's move on to slide number 3. So, in developing our management strategy for the front desk, we compared two different approaches. First, there is a service profit chain model, which basically says that if you take care of your employees, they'll take better care of your customers, and that ultimately drives profit. It's an employee-centric philosophy. By investing in employee well-being and satisfaction, you get higher service quality and loyalty. That makes a lot of intuitive sense in hospitality. However, a potential drawback is that heavy investment in staff through training, benefits, and so on can be risky if those employees decide to leave. Cost-focused stakeholders may also worry it's too expensive or not immediately beneficial. On the other hand, we looked at lean management, originally from manufacturing, but from applicable here. Lean is all about eliminating waste, continuously improving processes. It aims to maximize efficiency and value, making operations faster and cost effective. Shareholders are often likely to like lean practices because they can boost profit margins by streamlining work. But lean organizations must change carefully since constantly introducing new systems or procedures can overwhelm the staff if it's not handled properly. After weighing in these options, we decided that lean management is fit for our front desk department. And why lean? Because first, it aligns with our goal for growth and innovation. The front desk is evolving. Think of all of the new check-in technologies and mobile concierge services, integration with third-party booking systems, and so on. We need a management style that encourages continuous improvement and innovation. Lean management does that exactly. It creates a culture and ongoing enhancement. By adopting lean principles, we'll regularly evaluate our lean in check-in procedures, communication channels, and service offerings to cut our inefficiencies and better serve guests. For example, if we find a step in the check-in process that's causing delays, a lean approach empowers us to change it quickly. Lean management also means being resource conscious, perfect for a department that is need to do for limited frontline staff during a peak time. We acknowledge that there may be some initial resistance to change after all. Any new system can feel disruptive, but Lean also emphasizes involving employees in improvements. By training and coaching our front desk agents on Lean thinking, We'll build a team that's flexible and embraces change in pursuit of smoother operations. Overall, this lean approach will help us deliver fast, efficient service, keeping lines short and meeting guest expectations, while also satisfying the upper management by controlling the costs and improving productivity. It strikes the right balance to our department needs so that management style we're running with. And that wraps up slide number 3.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Bali, and I will be talking about our added value, competitive advantage, and cost leadership. So, to stay competitive and provide added value, our front desk implemented several key initiatives, especially in light of COVID-19. Guest safety and convenience became top priorities, which in turn became our competitive advantage. One major value added was strictly following health guidelines. We enforced mask wearing for all guests and employees, and even set up social distancing markers in the check-in line. We made sure no guest would be turned away for lacking a mask. Instead, we had a complimentary mask on hand. This seems simple, but it's actually a big convenience and peace of mind factor for guests. Think about it. A competitor hotel that didn't offer free masks might force guests to go find or buy one, causing frustration within the guests. We avoided that friction altogether. Also, by spacing out our front desk stations and having lobby ambassadors to remind folks to distance, we created a visibly safer environment. Guests noticed this, and many mentioned that knowing they could check in safely was a deciding factor in choosing their hotel. As one source notes, providing the safest, cleanest environment during the pandemic is one of the best competitive advantages a hotel can offer. So, these health measures weren't just about compliance. They became selling points that set us apart in a crowded market. In addition to safety, we focused on technology and convenience as an added value. We accelerated the rollout of contactless check-in, kiosk in our lobby, and expanded mobile check-in via the hotel app. This allowed tech-savvy or cautious guests to skip the front desk line entirely if they wished. Moreover, we developed a new service model, an AI-powered request system accessible from guests' own devices or in-room tablets. Essentially, guests can make requests, extra pillows, room cleaning times, recommendations for restaurants, etc., digitally without having to call or visit the desk. This innovation is like giving every guest a personal virtual concierge. It adds a ton of value. Guests love the convenience and personalization. They can request what they need at any time with a few taps, and it feels tailor-made for them. During COVID, features like these were crucial for minimizing contact, but interestingly, they've remained popular even as the pandemic has ended. We found that many guests prefer the speed and privacy of digital requests, so we kept the system permanently. It not only keeps guests happy and feeling in control of their stay, but also helps our staff be more efficient. Routine requests get handled through the system, freeing up front desk agents to handle more urgent or complex guest issues. In essence, by innovating our service delivery, we created a smoother experience that benefits everyone, a clear added value the competitors may not offer at the same level. Now, let's touch on the financial aspect. Front desk operations are closely tied to key hotel performance metrics. Our team diligently tracks occupancy levels and RevPAR because these ratios inform both our revenue strategy and our staffing plans. For example, if we see occupancy for the upcoming weekend is projected to be very high, we know we need to schedule extra front desk agents and maybe open additional check-in stations or kiosks to handle the rush, preventing long lines and maintaining service quality. Conversely, if occupancy is low, we can save on labor costs by having a smaller team on shift. In terms of revenue, RevPAR helps us gauge how well we're filling rooms and at what rate. Information that we relate to revenue managers who might adjust room pricing or promotions. In that way, the front desk adds value by providing data that shapes strategy across the hotel. The pandemic put these financial skills to the test. With government mandated closures and the collapse in travel, hotels faced unprecedented low occupancy and revenue drops. Our hotel, like others, had to take cost-cutting actions to survive this period. This meant we temporarily furloughed some staff members and reduced hours for others when the property was closed or operating at minimal capacity. We also cross-trained the remaining staffs so that each person can handle multiple roles. For instance, an agent might also be trained in some concierge duties or basic night audit tasks. By doing this, we could run a leaner operation and lower payroll expenses, yet still cover essential guest services with a smaller team. Importantly, furloughs rather than permanent layoffs allow us to retain our talent employees to bring back later, preserving the value of their experience. These tough steps, combined with the strategies we discussed, help the front desk contribute to our hotel's resilience. In summary, our department added value through enhanced guest safety and convenience, carved out a competitive advantage with innovative service, and navigated financial challenges by closely managing key metrics and cost. All of these efforts position us to emerge from the pandemic stronger than before. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lauren Ellison, and I will be going over the fifth slide, which is the analysis of our competitors. So for our competition, we identified 4 key competitors that operate in the same luxury niche as we do: Aria, Bellagio, The Venetian, and Wynn, all located on the Las Vegas Strip. We chose these hotels because they target the same type of guests, people seeking a high-end resort experience with all the upscale amenities. One way we can tell these properties form a competitive set is by looking at their room pricing. So typically these hotels price their rooms within a similar range, and they tend to keep an eye on each other. So for example, if Wynn has a surge in demand and increase its room rates for an upcoming convention weekend, you'll often see Bellagio, Aria, and the Venetian also adjust their rates upward around the same time. They're very much in tune with each other's moves. On the other hand, a budget or mid-range hotel changing its price wouldn't necessarily cause the same reaction because they're catering to a different segment. This dynamic tells us that our competitor set is tightly interconnected. Each of these luxury hotels responds to market changes in unison, and that's the competitive arena we're in as well. Next, let's compare amenities and attractions. So all 4 competitors are luxury resorts loaded with amenities, so guests accept top-tier experiences across the board. However, each hotel does have some unique selling points. Aria, for example, is known for its modern touch. It has a very high-tech environment. Guests often mention things like the advanced in-room technology, for instance, the tablet-controlled lighting and curtains, and its very beautiful pool deck. Wynn is distinguished by its extraordinary fine dining and service. It boasts multiple Forbes 5-star restaurants and departments, so the culinary experience at Wynn is a huge draw. Bellagio, of course, has its legendary fountain show, a free spectacle that has become world famous, and it's also the home to the Cirque du Soleil show O, plus, of course, the stunning gardens that change with the seasons. These give Bellagio a sort of timeless, classic elegance that people associate with Las Vegas luxury. The Venetian leans into its theme of Italian opulence. It offers gondola rides on indoor canals and is comprised entirely of suite-style rooms. In fact, the Venetian has some of the largest standard suites in the city measured by square foot. This means if guest values very spacious accommodations, the Venetian has the edge there. Despite these differences, note that each competitor provides a comprehensive luxury package from spas and casinos to shopping and entertainment. There's a lot of overlap in what a guest can experience at these resorts. So for our front desk and overall hotel, it's crucial to keep innovating our own offerings. If, for example, Aria introduces a new mobile check-in app or VIP lounge, we want to be aware of that and consider if we should do something similar or better to stay competitive. Another insight from our competitive analysis is the importance of brand recognition. So all 4 of these hotels have very strong brands. Wynn is often regarded as one of the top luxury hotels globally. It consistently earns top ratings, and that reputation brings in high-end clientele who trust the Wynn name. Bellagio's brand is bolstered by its iconic status. It's frequently featured in movies like the fountain scene in Ocean 11, and it's a household name even for people who have never been to Vegas. That kind of name recognition means Bellagio doesn't have to work as hard to explain its value to potential guests because people already assume it's top notch. The Venetian, with its sheer scale and thematic grandeur, and Aria, with its modern luxury vibe, also enjoys strong reputations and a lot of word of mouth praise. The point here is that these competitors have loyal followings and a strong pull in the luxury market. Guests might choose them because they know the brand and have certain expectations of excellence. For us to compete, we have to differentiate our hotel's experience and build our own strong reputation. Perhaps we focus on an aspect that sets us apart, whether it's ultra-personalized service at the front desk, an inclusive new amenity, or a boutique luxury feel that's distinct from others. By studying our competitors, we learn that while we must match them in quality, we should also find our unique competitive angle. So, in summary, our competitor analysis confirmed that Aria, Bellagio, Wynn, and the Venetian are our main rivals, and it's provided valuable insight into how they operate and excel. This knowledge guides our strategic decision in keeping the front desk and the hotel as a whole competitive in the luxury hospitality arena. Thank you.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and gentlebems. I'm Jean, and I will be talking about corporate level strategy implementation and contingency plans. So, at first, strategies. At the corporate level, organizations have to choose how they will grow and compete. Here we looked at 4 pretty broad corporate strategies. The first one being concentration, which is focusing on a single line of business making sure that you just do one thing very well. And for the front desk, that's check-ins and check-outs. Beautiful. Our second was vertical integration, which is expanding control over the supply chain. And for the front desk, that would look like owning the software that we use for booking. Our third was diversification, which is entering new businesses that are related to your current business or unrelated. And we'll get into that a little more later, as you can see on the slide. Our fourth was stability and retrenchment, which is maintaining or refocusing the business. So say in a time of crisis, we would be cutting back on certain operations and making sure that we protect the business um, at its core. But as you can see from the slide, we decided to go down the route of related diversification for growing the front desk operations. Um, that would look like expanding the front desk roles into complementary services. So offering packages like spa packages, dinner reservations, and booking tours with local groups. It also looks like upselling amenities that we already offer at the establishment and enhancing guest satisfaction with our broader offerings for service. Just trying to make the experience of check-in flow with the rest of the experience of your stay, making it a more all-inclusive experience wrapped into one, so you don't have to go too far to get what you want, right? Moving on, talking about contingency plans. So the emergency that we were tasked with figuring out a contingency plan for was an emergency outage. Like, we no longer have any access to the technologies that we use in the modern day. We don't have access to the internet, things as such. So for the front desk and for most operations, you would have to go back to the old way of doing things before we had the systems that we have in place. The front desk, I know, specifically handles things in this day and age with PMS systems that connect with online travel agencies and whatnot to make online booking flow smoothly within the operation. Without that, we would not have online booking. Without that, we would be relying on physical booking, either in the establishment or through a travel agent. So what that looks like for us is using physical ledgers to keep track of check-ins and reservations, using physical ledgers to keep track of employees and when they're clocked in or when they're clocked out. Physical keys for rooms instead of key cards because we won't be able to encode key cards anymore. Relying on mail and travel agents to get reservations ahead of time. And going back to physical checks for payroll. I do not remember the last time I got handed a physical check for my job, but we'd have to switch back to doing things like that. And the plan we had for differing durations looked pretty similar as to what we were going to implement, but as time goes on in this outage, it is looking a lot more stable, a lot more long term. It's looking like we're going to have ledgers going on for a while and filing systems for all of the paperwork that's going through the front desk now that we're no longer dealing with online receipts, online booking, online check-in. We're dealing with a lot larger of a paper trail to keep a track of physically. So more filing cabinets, more pens, more paper, more ink, more things to order of that sort. But to ensure that all that goes according to plan and goes smoothly, we have to have solid communication and proper communication with guests, employees, managers, and stakeholders. We need to make sure that everyone on every level is made aware of the situation at hand. And that looks like emailing everybody as soon as we are aware of the situation at hand. We have to email every employee that's going to come in for work, every guest that we know is on their way to come for their booking. That booking may no longer be available to us. They're going to have to know that. We're going to have backups if it is possible. If it is possible, it depends on the situation surrounding the outage. But hopefully, we have backup data. Hopefully, we are able to access that backup data in this outage. But they need to know what the situation with that is. The managers need to know what's going on so they can properly direct people, and the stakeholders need to know so that they have proper expectations for what is going to go on in this uncertain moment. So they are aware that this may cut into profit a little because it is a chaotic moment. Um, but making sure that those emails get out and making sure that we are communicating with everybody helps manage those expectations, helps set the stage for the manual system that we're implementing. It helps improve the efficiency of the transition and make sure that everybody is on board and aware of what is going on, making sure that nobody's too caught off guard and too unprepared for the moment at hand, right? Very important to consider, very important to maintain. And that is it for that. Thank you for joining us on this. Have a fantastic evening. Bye.